Welcome to the show, guys. We got the studs and sucks from fantasy football week 15 and your fantasy football playoffs, ripping into the players that crapped the bet and acknowledging and praising the guys that did well. I'm ready to dive into this. We're also going to talk about the latest news and notes here, go over this, and get some venting out because I'm really pissed off at Byjan right now and Arthur Smith, and I need a place to vent. So I'm coming here to vent, and Jim's going to be the ear, and you guys are going to be the ear. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Hey, how you doing, counselor?
Oh, it could be better, man. Byjan really destroyed a lot of fantasy football teams. And yeah, man, I'm really pissed off at Arthur Smith. And good on them. They lost to the worst team in the NFL, the Panthers. It's embarrassing. The guy should be fired. I'm talking about the coach here. Just ridiculousness. And we got a lot to cover here, man. It was a crazy week.
It was a crazy week, man. And there are some teams that really crapped the bed on a critical week. I mean, this is the playoffs, right? This is you do it or you're done. And there was a lot of low scoring teams and just goose egg teams out there just really hurt your fantasy team. So
if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe, thumbs up. We're going to talk about it. I'm excited to roll into this, man. We're going to go through every position here. Smash that thumbs up. Really helps the channel. We go year round. Fantasy football is not over. We're going to go year round. We're going to start rolling out the 2024 content, projecting things, talking about things, looking at things. Before we do, let's go into the, what we like talking about at the beginning of the show. And let's cue in the music. Latest news and notes here, man. So let's dive into this here, man. I mean, Keaton Mitchell, I don't know if you saw it. Prior to this show, I played the YouTube clip. I'm not going to play it here, but go just Google Keaton Mitchell knee injury, and it's crazy. He was running, and it buckled, and it bent in the other direction. So he's done, Keaton Mitchell, man. I don't know. Jim, what did you think of that injury? I know you didn't want to watch it. I played it for you 5 times.
yeah, please stop showing me that video, man. I don't need to see that stuff. Yeah, that's horrendous that happened to him. Coach says likely a season-ending injury. That's certainly what it looks like, and just a shame, just a real lost season for the guy. A very highly touted player, just was not able to get anything going this season. So.
Let's talk about Byjan here, man. Disgusting performance. He rushed 7 times for 11 yards, and he had a fumble, and I think he had 1 reception for 3 yards or something like that. 3-yard catch for 3. It was ridiculous, man. I think he had like 0.4 fantasy points. Absolutely terrible. And what really got me is Cordarrelle Patterson at the goal line, stealing that goal line touchdown. That made me absolutely livid. I don't know if you see the video where I lost it.
Yes, I did see that. You were angry.
I've never been so angry in my entire life. And what gets me is that, okay, certain things I can foresee, right? Like when we do our 16 round plus, there's certain things we could see. Like I can predict Mike Williams' injury. Okay, I could predict that. I could see that. That's something that I could see. I predicted the J.K. Dobbins injury. I predicted a decline for Austin Eckler. I predicted that Justin Jefferson may, coming off pinnacle years, may decline. Certain things we get, certain things we don't. Right, Christian McCaffrey stayed healthy, and his whole thing was I thought he'd get hurt. He didn't get hurt. He stayed healthy. It's good. A lot of things we predicted, but what I did not see and what we didn't predict here is that when you draft a person 8th overall, 7th overall, first round picks, particularly a running back, that running back gets full workhorse load, especially when the people in that committee suck. Cordarrelle Patterson is a wide receiver. He got drafted in the league as a wide receiver by the Vikings years ago, sucked at doing that. And then Algier was, I think, a 4th or 5th round pick. He's not great. And then you have a first round pick in Byjan. And when he comes out, he plays well. He looked good. He looks dynamic. He looks like a highlight reel. And he gets benched. I've never seen this before, Jim. Have you seen this before prior to any years? I've never seen this.
Well, I mean, when you look at both of the first round running backs from this past year's draft, they both started slow. They both started timeshares. They both started.
I'm talking before
frustrating usage, and as the season went on, they were worked more and more into the offense. But with Bijan, yeah, it's just. It's his usage is just so all over the place on a week-to-week basis. And now this is the second dud game where he basically scored you 0. which is unacceptable for a first round pick, yeah, I blame the coaching staff and the play calling for his issues. I
Hold
mean,
on a
he
second. I'm
needs to be.
talking I wanna interrupt you. I'm talking, have you seen ever the question was, have you ever seen a first round pick, a guy like Zeke Elliott, Saquon Barkley, come in and get benched like this? I've never seen this before, right? Before prior to this year.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but yeah, I
That's
mean
a no. That's a
it's
no. I've never seen
unusual,
that.
and this is a team that's run first offense. Also, that's the other big thing. That's one of the reasons why we were so in on this is because they ran the ball like 500 times last year, and it's just a very frustrating offense. I mean, look at Drake London. Last week he got 30 points. This
Yeah,
week he got 4. I mean, it's like you can't count on any Falcons players for anything
yeah.
uh, because because of the way this team is coached. And so hopefully they make the right decision and they get rid of Arthur Smith at the end of this season.
Bad play calling. I mean, the worst play calling we've ever seen. I mean, this is terrible. I'm actually following a couple Falcons pages on Facebook, and yeah, you could hear the fans like in the comments, like this is the worst play caller of all time. Like he is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely terrible. You bring in by at least put in Algier near the goal line, Mike Patterson. It's crazy, man. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. It is what it is. But mind you, on the highlight for talking news, Laporta. 3 touchdowns, man. And again, we're going to go over all the positions and talk about the studs here. But, we had our highs, we had our lows, and it was just one of those weeks here. Also, want to make a note here. Melvin Gordon, he sucks. I told you he sucks. People get so upset when I say players suck. I mean, it's just factual. He just recently got signed onto the practice squad to the 50-man roster, 53-man roster. For the Ravens, and he'll take the spot for Keaton Mitchell, who was injured, like we said. So Melvin Gordon, yeah, not expecting much there at all. So
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything either. And I mean it's Gus Edwards basically. That's it. That's the only player you could consider starting in this backfield. And it's not like he's going to score you a lot of points. He'll get you like 10 to 15 points, which
yeah.
is decent, as a flex play or something like that, but not a guy that you want to start on any given week.
All right, I'm gonna do a quick screen share here, Jim, with everybody. Now, Jim might not be able to see it, but hopefully you guys can see that. We're gonna go over all the studs here at the quarterback position, honor the sucks of at the position. So, Jared Goff leading the pack here looked absolutely amazing. 5 touchdowns, Jim. 5 touchdowns for my backup quarterback. That is insane. That's the type of stuff we need. And they had a down week last week, and people kept asking me, should I start Goff? Should I start Laporta? I'm like, Laporta never sits. They were due for a bounce back. Jared Goff, man, what do you think of Mr. Goff? You
Yeah,
impressed?
you could trust Goff at home. Don't trust Goff on the road ever. But he was playing at home, and yeah, he really came through in the first week of the playoffs. And Laporta, great. St. Brown, great. I mean, he was and Gibbs also had a huge game.
Yeah,
So
2 touchdowns.
good job on these guys. I wish they had come through last week though, because I had Laporta and St. Brown in a championship game, and I lost that game because each of them only scored 5 points. So that's a lot of volatility. But you look at the top 5 quarterbacks. And it is insane the names that are on here. It's Goff, right?
Mayfield.
Baker Mayfield, Brock Purdy, Aiden O'Connell, who scored 63 points on Thursday, and Joe Flacco. I'm like, if you were to tell me that those were going to be the top 5 quarterbacks in week 15, I would have laughed at your face. I would have like not a chance in the world. I mean,
I got Joe Flacco at 14. Joe Flacco finished 14th in week 15. He
oh
had
really? Because I got him. He scored 21 points. That puts him 5th.
oh, you must be in a different league.
374 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions.
That's what I
But
got. That's what I
yeah,
got. But he's actually overall he's 14th in points. He got 16 points. So you must have a different scoring format where you're looking. But the
it
standard,
must be. Yeah, it must
yeah.
be. I don't know. I
So
don't know
yeah,
why there's a discrepancy there, but still,
still Gardner Minshew's top 5. So I've got about Goff, Mayfield. Well, you can see it here. Aiden O'Connell, Brock Purdy, and Gardner Minshew. Man, those are your top 5 quarterbacks. You got Jake Browning in the mix, Matt Stafford, Russell Wilson, the Jordan Love, Easton Stick 12th, believe it or not. Easton Stick 12th in fantasy points. He had 17.38. The guys that suck, Jim, I got to say this. Dak Prescott, man. Dak
oh man,
Prescott. I mean, can you imagine here? Like 6.06 points, I got him here. I mean, imagine like he was doing so well, and then you start him with confidence, and then he craps the bed for you. So I got to put my special voice on here.
Dak Prescott, you, sir, are the sock of the week. Terrible. Jim, I don't know what to say. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the Cowboys offense was just brutalized last night. I mean, it was that was a pretty rough game for every Cowboy. But yeah, especially Prescott, who's been doing so good. I mean, the dude's been rock solid the past 6 weeks or so,
Yeah,
and just to completely lose it there was just terrible.
absolutely terrible. The Bills' social media had some fun with this. They actually took the Texas logo, the star and the colors. They made an L out of it. They said things are bigger in Texas, and it's a big L. You know,
There you
so
go.
Buffalo having some fun on Buffalo social media team having some fun there with the Cowboys. All right, let's go back here. Let's take a look at. So yeah, I would definitely give that to Dak Prescott here. Uh, Running backs here. And again, I want to take full ownership on this. Christian McCaffrey, great, man. Absolutely great. 41 points. Again, you were a little higher than I was for Christian McCaffrey this year. I was assuming an injury was going to happen. Sure enough, it didn't. Mind you, he was pulled out of the game and they had to tie up his knee. So he's kind of on his last strings. But either way, he did well, man. He crushed it. Yet again, Christian McCaffrey pulling through 41.7 points. James Cook having himself a great week again. 36.1. Jahmyr Gibbs. Ty Chandler stepping up. Shows you how bad Madison is. I mean, Ty Chandler coming in, getting a touchdown, 132 yards on 23 attempts. I mean, 4 targets, 3 receptions, and 25 yards. Ty Chandler, Kyron Williams, all these guys pulling through. And again, prior to the season, if you look at the top 10 going into playoffs, imagine this. You got guys like Ty Chandler, Kyron Williams in there, Devin Singletary, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Raheem Mostert, and James Conner to round out the top 10 here. Again, this is excluding the Monday night game, but this is just wild, Jim. Wild.
Yeah, yeah, and also Rashad White is up there,
Yeah.
Devin Singletary. These are basically none of these guys are starters outside of CMC and Gibbs. I mean these were all mostly backups at the beginning of the year. I mean, I guess White was the starter there, but
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, it's uh, I don't know what to say, man. It's been a rough season, but just being nimble, being able to pick up. I mean, if you picked up Ty Chandler or you picked up Kieran Williams or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I mean, they really came through for you on a week that you needed them. So
Look at this. Tony Pollard, 7.7 points. Crap the bed, okay? Jerome Ford, 7.1. Tyler Algier, 6.1. Saquon Barkley, 5.7. Derrick Henry, 5. Javonte Williams, 4 points. And you don't want me to get started here on our friend Bijan Robinson, under a point here. So, man, we're talking big names here. We're talking RB1s crapping the bed the week you need him the most. So, I mean, and wait till we get to wide receiver. It doesn't get much better at wide receiver, too, because you're thinking, oh, well, running backs, yeah, I got to go wide. Tyreek Hill didn't play. I don't know what to tell you. Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson crapped the bed. These guys are first round picks. So don't come at me and say running backs are an issue, because it goes across the board, right? So yeah, man, let's actually move on to that. Let's go to wide receiver here and go over that, because when you take a look at the wide receivers, you're going to see that it's not the usual suspects for the most part. But you got, like, you look at this here, we got Jordan Addison, crushed it, right? 29.1 points. Jalen Waddle had that big catch, saw it, 28.2. McLaurin, Godwin, Cooper Kupp stepping up. Give credit for Cooper Kupp for stepping up this late in the game, past 2 weeks. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams, Rashee Rice, a guy we were telling you to grab as a sleeper, 24.1 points. Noah Brown and T. Higgins around the top 10. T. Higgins has been absolute crap the entire year. He stepped up. Debo and Josh Palmer around at the top 12. What are your thoughts here on these wide receivers here? Noah Brown, T. Higgins, Debo?
yeah, I mean, again, I mean, Waddle, I'm not surprised at all. With Tyreek out, Waddle's going to crush, right? So that's not a
Yeah.
surprise at all. I think Addison crushing when Jefferson was playing is very
Yeah.
surprising. And Terry McLaurin having a big game, which he has been struggling this season. The thing with Josh Palmer geez, what were his stats? Because he only had 4 catches, but the dude ends up with a top 12 finish,
4 targets,
Um,
4 receptions, 100. He had 100. No, sorry, that's not it. 113 yards receiving and a touchdown. It was the receiving yardage, it was the volume. 21.3 points PPR.
Right, but that's one of those things. It's like that team scored 63 points. He was a beneficiary. That is not a guy I would start next week. I wouldn't start him for sure, because it was just kind of a boom week for a low volume player. But again, great to see Amon Ra come through. Amari obviously has a great connection with Flacco. Chris Godwin finally came through. That dude has been incredibly disappointing this year, just doing nothing with the volume he's been given, and he's been getting decent volume. He just hasn't done anything with it, but he had a good game, so that was good.
Top 4.
Um,
Top 4 in PPR points, 25.5 for Godwin. Very impressive.
right.
I'm trying to take a look at some sucks here. Justin Jefferson actually had 15.4. That's not bad. Jamar Chase 10.4. Quentin Johnson actually had 10.3. Puka Nakua 10.3. Calvin Ridley, your guy, 8.9, and Stephon Diggs 8.8. What do you think of Calvin Ridley, man? I mean,
God, I'm so fed up with Calvin Ridley. I can't even watch him. He got 12 targets yesterday. The dude ends up with 4 catches for 39 yards. That's not going to do it, man. That's not anything you want to crow about. I mean, I do love to see what Rashi Rice has done, man. That this is very exciting for next year. I mean, who even knows if uh, Kelsey is going to be back next year? I think he's probably going to retire at the end of this season. He just seems like a
yeah,
fading star at this point. Um,
he's in
but
love. He's in
going
love.
into next season as Mahomes' number 1 target, I like that, man. I like that upside. So
Yeah, Kelsey looks like he's in love now. He's weak in the knees, Jim. He's totally in love, and it's affecting his game clearly.
Well, also he's old, man. He's an old guy. He's like
Yeah.
34. I mean, this is a young man's game. He's played at such a high level for so long, but eventually, Mother Nature runs its course. And if it's a choice between getting hit in the head for 60 minutes every week or being in love with Taylor Swift, I don't know. I'll choose Taylor Swift.
Well, yeah, true. Romeo Dobbs finished 59th, 6 points. Robert Woods, he sucks anyway, 6 points. Just making some notes here.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham Jr. crapped the bed, finished 87th in PPR amongst wide receivers, 2.4 points. He was kind of doing well. Zay
Yeah, and
Flowers,
Zay Flowers was even worse, man. I mean, 1
1.7.
catch for 7 yards or something is ridiculous.
Stephon Diggs, 8.8, like I said. George Pickens, 7.7. A lot of guys. Ayuk even, who's had some good games this year, 6.7 points. Demario Douglas, 6.3. Romeo Dobbs, like I said, 6. Garrett Wilson, 5.9. So some big names here. Jerry Jeudy 10.4, Michael Pittman 11 point. Like these are some big names, wide receiver 1 caliber names crapping the bed. You got guys like Rashi Rice and Noah Brown outperforming them. It's just ridiculous. It's crazy, especially at a time where it matters the most, where it's particularly playoffs where you need these points. And you're starting your wide receiver 1s and they just don't get it done. Drake London, you want to add to that list as well. It's crazy, man. Absolutely nuts. And, we could do all the research we want. We could say, hey, he's on top of the depth chart, this and that. But this year has been crazy. And I almost think that I don't know if it's fixed or whether they're just trying to manipulate the props, but it's crazy. I've never seen this type of volatility, I would say, right? It's a lot of
Yeah, and I think the volatility comes down also to just the fact that we got so many backup quarterbacks playing right now.
that too.
I mean,
Good point.
it just makes it those guys are all over the place and they can come out and have a great week and then the next week just do absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And so that impacts the entire team, especially the receivers. And I think that's what you're really seeing. And it does seem like league scoring is like way down. I don't know. This week had some good point totals, but on most given weeks, man, it just seems like the scoring is way down compared to where it usually is.
All right, let's wrap it up here at the tight ends here. Obviously, Laporta leading the pack, and again, some people will say next year let's draft Laporta, and he's going to be a round 2 pickup easily.
He's going to be like a top 3. He'll be a top 3 guy,
and that's what bothers me, Jim. That's what bothers me, right? The sheep didn't see him last year. They had him 21st. They don't think outside the box, but that's a good thing for us because we're paving the way. Let them continue to be sheep. Let them copy and paste. But we saw this well before. So Laporta, he's going to be ridden all the way to the sunset next year. The Joiku, Trey McBride, Hunter Henry having a good week. Isaiah Likely, Tucker Kraft, man, rookie tight end. Weird. Like I said, anything can happen with tight ends. So volatile. Higgins here, Michael Mayer, Cole Kmet, and Hawkinson to round it out here. So yeah, I mean, kind of what you see is what you get here, really, with tight end, man. I mean, and Kelsey crapped the bet 7.8 points in the playoffs, like we talked about, and George Kittle 7.4. Two big names didn't do anything, Jim. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Well, Kittle's always all over the place, man. That dude is either going to
Yeah.
get you 20 or he's going to crap the bed, right? So that's typical for him. But yeah, Kelsey's been very disappointing this year, very underwhelming. You see these young talented players like Laporta or McBride. Those are the guys I want for next year, not these older guys, that have been in the league for all
Yep.
these years and are all over the place. But really, again, the volume is just so terrible with the tight end position, and that's why I just can't. It's hard for me to justify spending such an early pick on these guys because a lot of these guys like Tyler Kroft, he had 6 targets. That's it. That's all he had yesterday. That's barely anyone that you could even trust to start in the tight end position. And I wouldn't start him if he was a wide receiver with that kind of volume. And that just shows you what that whole position is like. So yeah,
I'm
just low
wondering.
volume.
I'm wondering what the future of fantasy football, if it maintains like this, because it becomes harder and harder and harder. It really does. The future of fantasy football, it becomes harder and harder and harder to start people because there's uncertainty, and even drafting people, running backs that are primed to be workhorses are not workhorses anymore. Wide receivers, there's like multiple wide receiver one potential guys on a team where you can't decide on who the wide receiver one is. You got Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson. We still haven't determined who the wide receiver one on that team is, right? You got
And it might not even be either of them. It might be
Jaden Reed.
it might be that other guy. Who's the guy that got injured this past week?
Jaden Reed, and
Jaden Reed might be the one. He seems like he might be the one, but I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah, and this far in the season, you don't know who the wide receiver one is, and even with the Vikings, I mean, you had the quarterback change, you had the injury to Jefferson. Addison became the one here in the playoffs, and he's got that one potential because he was drafted. It has such high draft capital, and the talent is there. So that's the crazy thing. And you got all these backup quarterbacks, and it's just been a roller coaster. And again, I'm not trying to complain. I'm just speaking the facts that it is. I'm like, oh, excuses. I mean, no, this is factual. Like, I didn't draft Justin Jefferson. I didn't draft Austin Eckler. Those are the Sheeps' picks. How did they do for you? How did Mike Williams do? How did J.K. Dobbins do? How did Dalvin Cook do? A lot of people drafted him in the 5th round. Dalvin Cook crapped the bed. I told you, you cannot draft him when he's going into a place where Brees the Beast is there. He's the guy. He's the alpha. Dalvin Cook's washed up. So there's a lot we got right, but there's a lot of stuff we didn't foresee, like Kyron Williams coming out of absolutely nowhere. So, this is the type of stuff, man. You got to think outside the box. And for even guys like us that are forward thinkers, couldn't even think that. Like Kyron Williams, a perfect example. Like, who would have thunk it? Noah Brown, who would have thunk it, right? We were trying to determine who the wide receiver ones was there. Was it Woods? Was it Mechie? Was it Nico? Was it Dell? We assumed it was Dell. Dell was the guy. Dell gets hurt. Noah Brown steps up out of all people. I was talking to the beat writer prior to this. I'm like, who's the wide receiver one prior to the season? He's like, Robert Woods is the wide receiver one. I'm like, that's BS. He sucks. He hasn't done anything. So Jim, I don't know what else to say, man. This is why we keep studying this stuff for you and just try to do better next year. That's all we can do.
That's right. That's what you can do. So, but it's been, it's been an exciting year, at least. It's been an entertaining year. And, now hopefully you had a lot of these players we were talking about today on your team that really came through on week 15. That's the important thing. Right. And so, but looking forward, like next year, CMC, are you going to draft him, Counselor? Would you draft him?
No. This was his last legs. This was the last year. Like I said, he's an old running back. He played 2 games in 2020, 2021, and he's coming off not only 1 but 2 amazing years at his age. It's just not sustainable. And again, we already saw the injury this past week 15, where his knee kind of buckled up. He went in and got it strapped in. He jumped back in. Already, like the fact that there's a little hint he's flirting with injury late in the season, coming off a pinnacle year. Next year, he's going to be drafted very high. I'm going to if it's a coin flip. I'm flipping that he gets hurt next year. Again, call me crazy, but I'm avoiding him. We'll see how it plays out.
And one big issue for him next year is that he is going to be 28 years old again. That's what Austin Eckler was this year. Austin Eckler, we're like, don't draft him because he's gonna decline. And man, has he declined. It's one of those things, man. It's sudden and it is extreme when those declines happen.
Yep.
And it hit Eckler last year, and it could very easily hit CMC next year. He's again. He's just kind of at that age, and with the amount of usage he's gotten over the past 2 years, I would watch out. But he's going to be the number one pick next year. He will be the number one overall.
Copy and paste. And I'm telling you right now, he's going to bust. You heard it here first, and I'm going to bookmark this video. And I'm telling you this year, I was wrong this year, I take ownership. But next year, CMC will bust. He is on borrowed time. I'm telling you guys. But we'll see. I mean, that's what makes fantasy so fun, right?
Yeah, and we've seen this all the time with running backs, that they will often have their best year right before their decline year. Like it will be
Yeah.
it will be like the best year they've ever had, and then it will be the worst year they've ever had for production. And that's how it usually goes. That's what usually happens. And so these older running backs, you got to watch out for them, because they do end up struggling a lot.
All right, there you have it, guys. NFL Week 15 full recap. Your studs and sucks. Drop any questions below. Smash a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. We're rolling out 2024 content, and we're going to wrap up the year. We got another week or two left, and then we're going to start rolling out 2024. We do not hold back. And thanks, Jim, for being here, man. We appreciate you.
All right. Well, thank you, Counselor. Everybody, good luck in week 2 of the playoffs, and hope you advance.
Thanks, guys. We're out. Have a good one.